Hello, join me. Have you ever heard the saying, be careful what you are saying to yourself because you are always listening? Have you ever heard that before? It is one of those sayings that when I first heard it, it had such a profound effect. And I kept thinking to myself, isn't that the truth? You may not know what's going on in my head right now, but I always know what's going on in my head. And now that I know, and now that I'm aware that I become what I think about all day long, can you imagine how counterproductive it was all those years of saying, I have a goal in my head. I have a goal. I know where I'm going. And then looking at myself and maybe putting myself down, or on the other hand, in the same breath, also thinking in my head, yeah, but maybe I'm not worthy of that, or money doesn't grow on trees. How is that possible? That's not logical. That can't be true. Okay. Your self talk, it's your internal dialogue, and it is completely influenced by your subconscious mind. So I do a lot of teaching around the subconscious mind, mostly because people don't even understand that everything they do is habitual. Everything you do is habitual, down to like putting your pants on at the beginning of the day. You hop in the shower, you wash all the same things in all the same order every single day. Okay. And in your subconscious mind is all of your programming, and it reveals all of your thoughts, your beliefs, your questions, your ideas, everything. And some of these things that are in our subconscious mind serve us really well, and others do not. They can be really positive in nature, or they can be the opposite. And it can be encouraging, and it can cause you a little bit of anxiety. Much of our self-talk really depends on our programming and our level of awareness. And some people just need to think, they used to say, oh, Delenn, you must get what you want because you're a really positive thinker. I was programmed to be a positive thinker. I was raised by an optimist. If any of you knew my mom, there's no doubt in your mind why I am an optimist. I was programmed to be an optimist. Some of you were raised by pessimists, and you are programmed to be a pessimist. And you and your parents get together and you bitch and complain about everybody, and you wonder why things always don't seem to work out for you. You're also programmed to think that things are going to work out for you. Okay, positive thinking and optimism, this can be some of the best tools that you have in your toolbox, and you can reprogram yourself to be an optimist. If you were raised by pessimists and you very intentionally became an optimist, that was reprogramming. You did that. Good for you. Okay, having a more positive outlook on life, I mean, so many benefits to that. Not just in your mind, but in your body, in your health. There's like so many studies that even show having a positive outlook, like, just gives you an overall better quality of life. But if your self-talk is negative, it will do the opposite of that. It will absolutely decrease your quality of life. And then you'll say things like, of course that would always happen to me. And then guess what? It's going to keep happening to you. Okay. When you have positive things that you are saying to yourself over and over and over again. And I always get to this point. I always hear from my clients, I don't know. I don't actually know if I believe it. Like, I feel like I'm just saying this to myself right now, but I don't actually believe what I'm saying. And I always tell them, you don't have to believe it initially. But I promise you, if you repeat it to yourself over and over and over and over again, you will begin to believe it. Absolutely, hands down, guaranteed. I don't need to know how you were raised. This isn't a counseling session about your mom and dad. And it's not even a blame session. They did the best they could with their current level of awareness. They raised you likely the way they were programmed when they were kids. Okay? But this ultimately dictates your self-talk that you have now. So you can't want one thing on this hand and then talk yourself out of it on this hand, because this one's going to win. That's your paradigm every single time. You will never outsmart your self-image. But if you can work into your self-image some optimism, you are gonna have just a plethora of side effects. Greater satisfaction, increased vitality. You're gonna be happier, healthier. It even does things like increases your immune system, reduces inflammation in the body, reduces pain, helps with your cardiovascular health. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk that just being nice to yourself would help you flourish? There's even you can even just Google different research, scientific projects that kids have done, where they take plants and they plant the seeds at all the same time, but they give them different conditions. They give them different environment. Some they'll play music for, some upbeat music, some lower vibrational music. Some they give more sunlight to. Some they speak really kindly to and lots of loving words. And all of those plants that are put in the environment where they are given light, they are watered, they are loved on, they are spoken kindly to. These are the plants that flourish every single time. And it's such a good example. And it's like, if you speak kindly to a plant and it grows better, could you imagine what speaking kindly to yourself would do? But understand, I can give you an affirmation, but the more, and we've talked about affirmations, right? You can go back and watch that session. But the more you can personalize it to you and where you're going, the better. Okay. And when you are practicing positive self-talk, okay, it's not about blaming yourself. Oh, why didn't I do this earlier? It's not even, there's no blame. There's no resentment ever. And understand that eventually you will get into the habit of like automatically thinking this way. Like if you weren't programmed this way, you're going to have to, just like with anything, it's going to take time for you to become habitually aware of what you're saying to yourself. And even when we talked about mirror work and I gave you the challenge of going in front of the mirror, looking yourself in the eyeballs and saying, I love you. How'd you guys do with that challenge? How'd you do with it? I bet you most of you heard me say it and you didn't even do it. That's how strong your paradigm is. Or you're thinking, oh, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. There's no way. Try it. You should be able to do it easily. and watch and see what it magnifies in yourself over time. You will begin to automatically see the good in everything. Every single time. Now, if you're wondering, I don't know, maybe I already do this. I'm going to give you some examples. Okay. If you're, I want you to recognize if you have negative self-talk. And I mean, you probably feel it if you have negative self-talk. You have low confidence, you have low self-esteem, which is then reflecting in your body and your appearance. Okay. That's our outside is a reflection of our inside, right? So if you have this negative image of yourself, you'll go to try something and then you'll automatically think to yourself, oh, I don't want to do it because I don't want to disappoint anybody if I change my mind. Like you don't even trust yourself to follow through with anything. Or if you have a positive image or self-talk, you might say to yourself, I have the power to change my mind. Others will understand. It's okay. Change happens. Constant. If you hold yourself back, your self-talk likely looks like that you failed yourself or that you feel like you're an embarrassment. Whereas even if you went in trying, if you have a positive self-talk, you're going to say, I'm proud of myself for even trying. That took a lot of courage. I can't fail unless I quit becoming my higher self. If you look at yourself in the mirror every single time and start putting yourself down for your physical appearance, maybe every time you pass a mirror, if you have a negative self-talk, you're going to comment on your weight, your shape, the dimple, the wrinkle, the whatever. And you're going to say to yourself, I might as well not even bother. Whereas the other side of it would say, I'm capable and strong. And I want to get healthier for me. And you know why you're getting healthier. These are all examples of how you can absolutely flip the switch. And you get to make that decision. But you want to be consistent and you want to do it on a daily basis. Okay? Positive self-talk, it takes practice. It's not going to be your natural instinct. I remember, again, I can remember my programming happening. I remember saying something negative to myself, but saying it out loud. You know how kids do that? And then my mom flipping it right away, flipping it. Okay, so if you're generally a pessimistic person and you just want to feel better in your life, you can learn to shift your inner dialogue. Because if you're saying it on the outside, and this is what I teach my kids too, about bullies or bucket dippers, we call them, right? If they're saying it on the outside, they've got things going on in their head that's 100 times worse. Isn't that sad? And unfortunately, the kids that are doing this on the playground at school are typically going to be the same people that are doing it in the workplace. Unless they make a decision to shift. So first, what I want you to do, if you find yourself being a pessimistic person, I want you to identify what are your negative self-talk traps, right? Because there might be certain scenarios or certain people that you associate with that trigger self-doubt in you. Maybe it's, a work event. Okay, I want you to pinpoint when you experience the most negative self-talk so that you can anticipate it. And then you can kind of like go into it knowing you're going to be constantly flipping. If that's in your own house that you live in, you might want to think about changing your environment. Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? Next, I want you to check your feelings. Okay? Feel free to stop yourself in your tracks on days when you can just feel yourself going down this slippery slope, and do a little checkup of yourself. You know how you reflect on a situation or a day or a transaction with another person, you think, how did that go from being so awesome to so bad? Where did I lose control of myself? And honestly, sometimes you just have to laugh it off. I want you to intentionally surround yourself with positive people. And this goes for any sort of self-talk, any result that you want to get. You have to get yourself in the environment where the people that you're surrounding yourself with have those results. Okay? You cannot fix a problem with the same thinking that brought the problem in. So you intentionally have to get yourself in the environment of where you can shift it. If you want to make $1 million, you need to start hanging around with millionaires. You need to get all the poor people off your Facebook feed and start following the people that aren't womp, I have no money, because they have access to the same amount of money that the millionaires do. They're just choosing not to tap into it. Okay. Surround yourself with the people that are getting the results that you want. And if you're a pessimistic person and you want to become an optimistic person, you need to start hanging out with those people. And then you need to start shifting, because those people didn't become optimistic and stay optimistic because they hung out with pessimistic people. So you can't start hanging out with them and then trying to be an energy vampire, because that's not going to last you either. Okay. And give yourself those positive affirmations. And if you want some coaching on affirmations, you can go back and look up that live that I did. Okay. But honestly, guys, if you can shift what you are saying to yourself, if that's all you ever did, your life would change. Guaranteed. And it's sustainable. And again, anything that's repeated over and over and over and over again, and you get emotionally involved with, you build faith in, will grow by law. It has to. It has to grow. Yes, I love it. But you have to intentionally get yourself in that environment. And you might be going, yeah, but it's only at work. Well, if you're spending 8-9 hours a day at work, guess what you're going to bring home with you? Doesn't matter how optimistic you are when you go into that place. When you come home at the end of the day, you are going to be exhausted. You are going to be unhappy. And you're also going to take it out on the people that live in your four walls. That's just the way it works. Where do you spend your time? And I love the analogy of you are the average of the top 5 people that you associate yourself with. Okay? Check your people, check your environment, and check what you're saying to yourself. And this is where your mirror work will really help as well. Deal? Awesome. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. If you want some help with this, or if you want to intentionally get yourself in the environment, come hang out with us in the 2% Club. That's what we do. We are a group of like-minded, high vibrational people that grow our awareness. That's what we do. We're doing what 98% of the population is not doing in that group. You want to take to the next level? Just book a call. Happy to chat. You guys are amazing. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for pouring into yourself. Your future self thanks you. Have an awesome